why you hate your council and why it's not for the reasons you think it is. I'm Rachel, I'm a public and social policy consultant, and I'm on a mission to scrap council tax. Now, fair enough, you probably do hate your council for very valid reasons, and I'm not here to defend every bad thing that every local authority has ever done, and I'm really not expecting an easy ride in the comments on this one. But I want to talk about council tax and how it's destroying the relationships between local authorities and their residents. We all hate paying council tax. A big bill for most households, and even if you receive council tax reduction as a result of living on a very low income, you probably have something to pay. We also hate council tax because of the way it's collected. If you miss a council tax payment, you can be taken to court through a summons, you can have a liability order. Council tax debt can be taken from your pay, from your salary, it can be taken from your benefits. In some extreme cases, it can force the sale of your house, make you bankrupt, or have you committed to prison. One of the most common complaints about council tax debt is the way that the local authorities use debt collection agencies to enforce debt. They can take your goods, they can sell them on, and basically there's a lot of bullying tactics going on in terms of debt collection for council tax. We've all seen the documentaries, we've all listened to Martin Lewis about it. Debt collection sucks when it comes to council tax. Now, unlike other taxes, council tax is a visible tax. We have to pay it actively. But for the majority of people who have their income tax paid out of the pay-as-you-earn tax system in the UK, it's kind of an invisible tax. We don't think about it. We see it on our pay slips, and yeah, we absolutely bemoan the fact that we're paying it along with national insurance, but we don't have to pay it actively. But we do have to pay council tax actively. And one of the things I've been talking about on this channel is the loss aversion effect, or cash aversion effect, which means that when we feel losses, particularly when it comes to money, a lot more keenly than we feel those kind of invisible contributions to other things. In addition to council tax being a visible tax and some of the debt collection practices being draconian at best, councils also deliver some of the most visible services that we receive as residents in the UK. So things like education, social care, and the bins. Good grief, we all love a moan about the bins. I get it, I completely get it. But the point I'm trying to make is it's a visible service. Now, add to all this the fact that local authorities are actually also responsible for things like local welfare assistance programmes, for things like the Household Support Fund, or the Crisis and Resilience Fund coming up, council tax reduction. And during the pandemic in particular, councils played an even bigger role in sort of localised welfare support schemes. Now, ask yourself a question. Would you go to your bully for support? You wouldn't. But this is what we're asking people to do when it comes to their local authority. People on very low incomes and people in quite vulnerable circumstances are having to speak to their local authorities in one of two ways, either through debt collection and really quite terrible debt collection practices, and also for support. And I know exactly from experience and also from studying this, that people are really reluctant to go to their local authorities because they fear the repercussions of owing council tax. Still thinking that councils are absolutely crap and we hate them for really legitimate reasons? Fair enough. Have a think about it this way. What if your local hospital raised funds in the same way that the council did? So every year you get a bill through from your local hospital that tells you how much you have to pay, and you have to pay it actively. You have to pay them, and if you don't pay them, they're really going to come after you for that debt. I think we'd all have a very different relationship with the NHS if we were paying it through quite visible taxes. The NHS has its problems. I'm not saying it doesn't. But think about it in terms of the way that we have relationships with local authorities and this authoritarian debt collection practice, and the way that we have to actively pay for these services in a very visible way. It's destroying relationships with residents. Now, I actually think that this is on purpose. The way in which we blame councils for things is blame avoidance from the government. You know, making council tax really visible and making council services really visible actually is a pretty good distraction technique when it comes to the really wider structural inequalities that we're facing. We could scrap council tax. There are plenty of options available to us, including progressive land value taxes. Have a look at some of my other videos. It's about some of the problems with council tax. But what I want to do with this one is kind of really look at the relationship with our residents. So remember, the next time that you're angry with your council, yeah, they might have fucked up the bins. I get that. But the system is what made them your debt collector and last line of support at the same time. And so we need better policy. Council tax has got to go.